Bon après-midi. Enfin, sorry. Bonjour tout le monde. Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Oui, moi je vous entends.
D'accord.
Bonjour.
Good morning. Okay, so I'm Dr. Ramasomi Sharon. I am your tutor for this module, Social Psychology. Would it be possible for you to please mute it? Okay. Do I have a class representative in the class?
Oui, madame.
C'est Madame Nalini?
Oui, madame. Bonjour.
Bonjour. Est-ce que ce sera possible pour toi d'introduire un peu la classe parce que c'est assez difficile online de faire individual introduction? Can you please introduce the class in terms of working experience? Where do the students work?
Madame, nous pas trop jeune, nous pas trop connaître l'information de ce tout. Mais la plupart travaillent dans groupe. La plupart travaillent.
Oui, d'accord.
Do
you have an idea que tu travailles?
Non, mon père n'a aucune idée.
Anyone in the class? Oui, Madame Rina? Madame Rina? Does anyone know a bit about the group dynamics? You haven't yet started face sessions, right? You are all online.
Yes.
Okay. No
Yes,
worries.
yes.
Okay, no worries. So we're going to start. I have already uploaded all the materials on Blackboard. Have you obtained those? Have you seen all the materials?
Yes.
Yes, madam. We have it.
Yes.
Good. So before each class, what I would expect out of you is that please do go through all the PowerPoints, read them, read also your manual, because all the questions that you'll be having for your assessment or even for your exams, je vais pas retirer en dehors, okay? Those are going to be manual. So it's very good parce qu'on n'a pas beaucoup de lecture. We've got only tutorials, 5 tutorials. So it's going to go very quickly. We won't be able to discuss about everything. But if you're going to read in advance, this is definitely going to help you. Okay?
Okay, madam.
Okay, so we're going to start. For the first module, this module that you are dealing with is what we call social psychology. Can anyone tell me what you understand by psychology? You have already done previous modules on psychology, right?
The study of the mind.
Yes, very good. Whenever we look at definition, we have to add that it is the scientific study of the mind and human behavior. The word scientific here is very important, and this is found in Unit 2 that we're going to speak about, because psychology is a science. It's not a guessing game. It is not something that I assume or I speculate about. It has got a rigorous methodology to follow. Okay? So what do you understand by social psychology then? When I tell you social, what comes to your mind? Because you're BSc Honors Social Work, Diploma Social Work. What comes to your mind when we say social?
Society. It's the point of view of human behavior of each and everyone.
Very good. Psychology is the scientific study of human mind and behavior. But when we say social psychology, it comes from the word social. So you said it is from society. And who do we have in society?
We have people living together.
Very good. We have social relationships. When we say people are living together, those are relationships that people have, right?
Yes.
And what are the different types of social relationships that people have?
It can be family relationship, relationship with a neighborhood, relationship at work, I guess.
Yes, very good. So we are talking about colleagues, the working environment. We are speaking about your neighborhood with your neighbors, people who are not of your family, but somehow they are people who are part of your everyday life. You have people with whom you stay with at home, right? Blood relationships, people family you get married into, or friends that you have as acquaintances, right? So when we speak about social relationship, it is a very important field first as an individual for us to understand, because we have to understand why do I behave in this particular way? Why is it that other people behave in unique kind of ways? How those questions ever came to your mind? Why do people behave like this? Or why have I said something like that? Has those questions ever came to your mind? Anyone?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And when those questions came to your mind, what are the other types of questions which accompany that? Why? Basé sur quelles circonstances, quel type de situation those questions come to your mind?
Il y a plusieurs raisons, madame. Par exemple, s'il y a des conflits, s'il y a des différences.
Bien,
Nous
très
sommes,
bien, oui.
la société évolue dans un truc qui bouillonne. You have conflicts, you have to understand, always to understand individuals, each one of us in our family, in the society, my neighbor, everywhere.
Very good. So one of the situations you evoke was whenever there are conflicts, right? When people drive us out of our zone of comfort and we fail to understand a particular situation, then we are like, why is it that the person is behaving like that? Why is it that the person has done this and that, right?
Yes.
In this particular module, we will be going about and we'll be exploring the different facets of how is it that we, as an individual, as a person, how do we make sense of the world? Pourquoi une certaine personne lit comment il lever, il bisa ouvert partout, tu se ban la fenêtre, mais une autre personne lit pour lui trouve les plus important, il reste en place, il just contemplate le plafond. Ou bien une autre personne lit comment il lever, il bisa prépare ce petit déjeuner. Une autre personne comment il lever, il bisa brosser les dents, il bisa in the washroom. Different people have different templates. Different people have different ways of prioritizing their days, their life, their ambitions. Why? What makes up those social cognition? How do we think about the world? Why is it that we can afford to take certain things for granted, but other things baffle us? We are also going to see how do we view our own self. Each one of us have got a unique way, a unique picture of ourselves. Each one of us have got a different, way of understanding other people. This is also where lots of conflict come into place, where one person may say, mais tu sais, la personne n'a rien fait de mal. La personne was just, saying this thing in a particular manner. So how? Why is it that we understand things differently? Okay, Why is it that some people can also say that you have lots of potential, and for us as individuals, we're like, no, but I don't think that I have this amount of potential. Why? This is about the self, which is a very, very important topic in itself. We will be speaking about stereotype, which is very important for you people to understand, because what are stereotypes? What are prejudice? What are discrimination? We'll be speaking about, at the beginning of this class, you said that society is about people, it's about relationships. But what are the different types of relationships? Why is it that different peoples have different ways of living together? Okay, we will be looking at all of those things from a very scientific paradigm. It's very important for you to understand that very often we'll be speaking about certain topics which may seem common sense, but all of those topics have been derived out of years and years of studies, validation, reliability. Okay, have you people already done modules on research methods?
We did the social perspectives. Then we have a chapter on research methods.
Okay, so you have not yet done research methods, right?
No.
Okay, no worries. So I'll be guiding you through this particular thing. And we'll also be speaking a bit about what are the potential studies that how you can go about whenever you'll be thinking about your dissertation, which is very important.
Okay, madam. Okay.
Yeah, cool. So I'm trying, to share my PowerPoint. Just let me know if you can see it. Okay, good?
Yes, madam.
D'accord.
Yes.
So those are my contact details. You can just note it down. Any issues, any problem that you have par rapport à ce cours, you can just contact me. De profession, je suis une psychologue. And I also got years of experience in terms of teaching, so don't worry. So this is the content that you have in your manual that will be going into it, unit-wise. We have already covered this particular point. So what do you understand by social psychology in this? Parce que dans la psychologie, nous avons beaucoup de branches. Nous avons organizational, industrial psychology, which falls under HR. We have, cognitive psychology, where we try to understand what goes on in the mind of a person. We have educational psychology, where we want to understand the behavior of children, of adolescents in the school environment. Vous êtes concerné par social psychology because you are from a social background. So here we want to understand what are the social and cognitive processes on the ways that individuals perceive, influence, and relate to others. Okay? Social psychology is going to offer you a social perspective on human behavior. Why? Because the social aspect is about the way that people think. How is it that their actions also affect other people? Because we are all affected by the actions of others. Undeniably, we may say that non, mais je suis pas concerné par les autres, ça m'intéresse pas, but this does impact us. So first thing, you as an individual, this module is going to be very, very helpful to you. I'm going to ask you to go for reflection, understand yourself. And secondly, also, it's going to be very important for you in order to understand your working environment, the people who's going to come to you, because if you're doing this particular module, either you're already in social work, that is, let us say, in the ministry or in police force or national empowerment, or you want to go forward and move in this particular field. D'accord? Just one question. Do I have any students here who understand only English? Because sometimes I do have students who are from abroad. No?
No.
Okay, good then. So, in psychology, you have to be very careful about one thing. It's about the choice of the word. This is not a general paper module. Very often, my students get less marks or have very, very great difficulty in order to get good marks just because they fail to capture keywords. Okay, whenever we'll be speaking about in this particular module, when we'll go through these outlines, I'll be evoking key aspects. You have to bear this into consideration. Let us say you give the definition of psychology, you have to mention it is the scientific. Here the keyword is about scientific study, because everybody tried to make sense about things. We were going to look at our environment, something happens and everybody is like, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Pourquoi ça s'est passé ainsi? I think it happened like that. You see something on the newspapers and each and every one, is going to come forward and become experts about what happened. Okay, have you ever seen this happening? You just hear about something and everybody has their own conclusions. And everybody also fight about their own conclusions. Have anyone ever seen that?
Every day.
Yes, madam.
And when we say every day, can you please give me any topic?
In the field of my work, I'm a social worker, so je pense que cet aspect-là est visible tous les jours.
Oui, très bien. And when you're in your field as a social worker, can you give me any example, specific? In psychology or in any kind of scientific field, we have to be very specific when we mention.
You want me to use some specific words to explain
A specific example.
Okay.
Like somebody was murdered.
Je travaille avec les enfants. Il y a cet aspect des choses qui arrivent avec les enfants.
Ok, très bien. Est-ce que vous pouvez me dire où vous travaillez, s'il vous plaît? Just like each and every one, whenever you're telling me, just tell me, please, where you also do you work so that we can customize this class also as per your needs.
I work with children in the east, in the west of the island.
Ok, très bien.
Pour Station. Yes.
You're an NGO?
Yes, an NGO qui accueille les enfants les après-midi, après l'école. Ce sont des enfants qui ont des soucis, qui n'ont pas que les parents travaillent, ils sont laissés à eux-mêmes. Et on les donne un soutien, d'accompagnement jusqu'à 18h, 19h que les parents reviennent du travail. Et voilà.
That's wonderful, very noble thing, Mr. Lindsay.
Moi, je suis dans l'administration, dans la gestion, si vous voulez.
Très bien. This module is going to help you a lot. So when you're telling me specific examples, since I also been working in the field of, in as an educational psychologist for like so many years, sometimes, you see children who are not being able to work well and people immediately, they are like into the guessing game of, mais ces enfants-là, pas pu travailler d'après l'autre sur IQ FIP. Ces enfants-là, pas pu travailler, mais tu gagnes câble qui ligne même, mais ce destin comme ça. Ces enfants-là, pas travailler bien, mais tu gagnes, plus tu ne peux pas travailler bien dans la vie. Okay? Those are about common sense things which happens. The scientific method will come and will tell you that no, we have to go into what we call diagnosis. You have to go into evaluation procedures. You cannot just come and take for granted on why children are not working. I've seen children, genius, okay, above average intellectual quotient, scoring. Those children cannot fit in our schooling, and it is worldwide known. Children who are really brilliant, they cannot fit into our schooling system. I've seen children who can't work well. Why? Because simply those children have not been given the proper assistance, or they are having family issues. So, en termes d'opportunité, en termes de stabilité, ces enfants n'ont pas bénéficié de ce genre de stabilité. The scientific method dictates that there should be interviews, there should be lots of questioning in an objective fashion. You have to administer standardized testing. You cannot just come and say that, okay, today I think I'm going to administer this kind of test for the child. No, this needs to be standardized testing. So that's the scientific methods. Most probably, perhaps the finding is going to emerge as the same as that was adopted, the common sense methods, but it is about the methodology. It is about how did you proceed in order to get those answers. That's the scientific method, and this is what you're going to learn in research methodology. The word in itself says methodology. What's the method that you have used in order to get those answers? Okay? And those methodologies are present or here in order to maintain objectivity. So, despite the fact that common sense and scientific methods, they may have commonalities in terms of what? We want to understand something. We want to understand a phenomenon. We want to predict this. This is what you're going to learn in terms of hypothesis. Okay? That's in dans le langage créole, nous disons qu'on habe qui fait l'infera. Someone else will tell you, get qui me dire toi là, il fait ça à cause telle raison. Tu peux aller te pour genre d'accord, mais souvent me peut dire toi moi à cause telle manière il fait ça. Those are prediction. Okay? What we want to understand what influence people. Qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il fait qu'il y a fait un crime? Qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il fait qu'il y a des enfants li décide comment dire pour battre les enfants? Qui influence cette personne-là sur une pensée, sur un comportement? Qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il y a une rentre dans l'alcool? When you look at the person, everything seems to be fine. The person may have a very nice husband or nice spouse or a family which is very stable, a very good job, good academic profile and everything, but still, qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il rentre dans l'alcool? Qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il rentre dans la drogue? Those are things we want to understand, we want to predict, we want to understand what influence those, okay? Both may reach the same conclusion, but it is on the method, okay? Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the scientific method dictates that first you need to make an observation. When you people will be going for your dissertation, n'essayez pas de faire l'impossible. Qu'est-ce que je veux dire par ça? C'est que it is a degree level, so look for a topic which is suitable for degree level. When you want to make an observation, it means that you need to be able to observe the phenomenon. Sometimes I have students who come to me and say that, Madame, je veux étudier le suicide. And I say, what do you want to understand by this? And they say, Madame, on a envie de connaître, mais quand ils me suicider, mais comment ils me réagir par rapport à ça? Qu'est-ce qui fait qu'ils poussent un démon pour faire un suicide? We all know, those of us who've gone through this very, very bad, painful, and something qui nous quitte, quelque chose qui nous quitte jamais. Une chose, on n'arrive jamais à comprendre pourquoi une personne s'est suicidée, parce que la personne est déjà partie. Deuxièmement, those are not things that we want to speak about with others. Okay, there are some people who say that yes, we have to go into awareness campaign, etc. But those are c'est très minime. You want this. I told that student that's a very good topic of study, but where will you get your sample? Where will you get your participants? Because the person is already gone, the family is already in a grief state. Et quand vous êtes en deuil, forcément, vous ne voulez pas parler de tout ça parce que déjà, vous êtes très embrouillé par rapport à ce qui s'est passé. So I told the student, let's shift that particular possibility now. Let's look at perception of people on suicide. Chacun parmi nous dans sa classe-là, nous avons une propre définition, nous avons une propre perception du suicide. Pourquoi? Parce que le suicide est relié avec l'amour. L'amour, il y a un certain meaning, deep understanding, de par nous cultural belief, de par nous religious belief. Each one of us have got our own like guidelines, perceptions of what happens between life before life, what happens in this particular life, and what happens in life after life. Chacun parmi nous a une propre perception. So let's go for the perception. And everybody have got their understanding and their views. You won't have simple problem. You won't have a biasness problem. You won't have people who drop out, like lots of people who drop out. So you go for things where you can easily get your population, you can derive your sample, et ça va pas vous fatiguer beaucoup. Okay? So once you do this, you make an observation. This will be based on your literature review. What are other people saying? You form an hypothesis. It's in terms of qu'est-ce que les études sont en train de dire. So you say most probably this is, my outcome is going to fall in terms of oui, évidemment, cette personne in fait telles affaires because of telle thing. And then you perform the experiment in terms of interviews, focus group discussions, administration of scales, etc. Then you analyze, you report, and it's done. But it needs to be objective. It's not about what I want to find out. Even the forming the hypothesis part, it is about what does the literature say. It's not about you. When you write a thesis, you never say, I did this, I performed the interview, I believe it's like this. It's not like this. It's the researcher found, the study investigated. On se met jamais, jamais, jamais in the forefront. We are always in the background. On est toujours à la troisième personne dans une recherche. Good? You're all with me, ça va?
Oui, madame.
When you will be doing research methods, this is going to be clearer to you. But just bear in mind, don't complicate your life. Go on the internet, look at things which have already been done. Look at the way that they have, proceeded ahead in terms of research questions, research objectives. What's the methodology in terms of what are the skills? That is the questionnaires which have been used. Take this into consideration, okay? Any questions?
Oui, madame, j'ai une question par rapport à ce que vous venez de dire. Par rapport, pour construire l'hypothèse, vous dites qu'il faut aller voir c'est vrai, il faut aller voir ce que pensent les autres, ce que disent les autres. Mais par exemple, dans le contexte mauricien, qui n'est pas du tout le contexte américain, le contexte japonais, c'est un contexte typiquement différent de tous ces pays.
Mais unique.
Mais nous n'avons pas beaucoup, malheureusement, d'écrits, de partage sur les événements qui se passent à Maurice, psychologiquement, scientifiquement, comme vous dites. Il n'y a pas d'études scientifiques. Beaucoup d'études scientifiques, il y en a. Est-ce que vous avez des preuves pour nous proposer? Par exemple, si je veux travailler...
Oui.
Oui, d'accord, ma question est terminée, merci.
Donnez-moi l'exemple, vous me disiez si vous voulez travailler sur quoi?
Par exemple, si je veux travailler sur la pauvreté à Maurice, ce n'est pas la même pauvreté que l'Afrique, ce n'est pas la même pauvreté que l'Europe, ce n'est pas la même pauvreté que l'Asie. Est-ce que nous avons des personnes, des études scientifiques qui ont travaillé sur la pauvreté, les gens qui souffrent de la pauvreté, les enfants qui souffrent de la pauvreté à Maurice? Vous comprenez? Alors, où il faut que je puise chez les autres pour... Merci.
Very good question. Vous savez, comme je dis toujours, parce que de profession, c'est un psychologue deuxième, je suis aussi lecturer en psychologie. I always say this to my students in the different modules that we say, it's that, Mauritius is very new. En termes de quoi, l'île Maurice est très neuf en termes de notre indépendance. Okay? We are like 50 plus something. And that's very new. Et si vous allez voir l'histoire de Maurice en soi-même, it's something which is a miracle, where we have reached, because post-independence, there was only sugarcane, there was nothing. So we are going very fast in terms of progress, because if you're just going to look around you in terms of what are the different progress that we have, yes, we have so much progress happening. Un des lacunes que nous avons, c'est en termes de publications. Okay? L'éducation est en train de partir de l'avant. Au niveau du TSIA, maintenant, c'est gratuit en termes de degrés, which is a very big milestone which has kicked off. Mais en termes de publications, we still have this lacking, but it is coming. Okay, we don't say that it is not happening. Qu'est-ce qui se passe, c'est que you are students, whenever you'll be doing your studies, very often the students do not publish. So it's not that we don't have the studies, it's just that it has not been published. That's one thing. Secondly, qu'est-ce qui peut vous aider dedans? C'est que when we speak of scientific method, the qualities of saying that something is a science, which is about psychology, it says that the finding needs to be replicable. That is, whatever I have found in one particular part of the world, it needs to be replicable in another part of the world. I need to be able to generalize the finding. Okay? So the replicable part, the generalization part is going to help you. This is why if your methodology is in itself something which is very objective, you have adhered to all the different, given guidelines. Even if a study has been done in America, in India, in Australia, in Zimbabwe, in Nigeria, any part of the country, you take this into consideration. This forms part of your literature review. Their findings is going to orient your hypothesis. Okay? Then you enter into the part which is performing the experiment. That is, you have your scales, that is your questionnaires, or you will have your interview, that is the questions that you're going to have basé sur les interviews, sur la littérature que vous avez fait. Then you're going to start your experiment dans le contexte local. Vous allez poser des questions, soit vous allez recueillir des data en termes des chiffres, and then you're going to analyze your data. You will have your findings. So sometimes your findings is going to tally with your hypothesis. So in your reporting of your findings, you will say that the findings which we have obtained in this study is in line with that obtained the tell part of the country, of the world. Okay, you're going to code the different studies. What is even more interesting when it happens that your findings does not reflect your hypothesis. Okay, so when it does not reflect your hypothesis, then you come with your explanation of the why. Okay, the why in terms of le contexte local est différent, les facilités sont différentes, les enfants ont d'autres ambitions, ont d'autres opportunités. Those are the reasons on why the findings does not tally. And this is what makes your study unique. Good? Is it clear?
Very, very clear, madam. Thank you.
Now, let us say you publish. Somebody else is going to take your study as a precursor and is going to come forward and say that, disons, Monsieur Lindsay a trouvé tel findings compared to other countries. And this is what makes it unique. Because, the literature is not yours. The introduction is not yours. It is borrowed. The literature is borrowed. The methodology, also the first part, is borrowed. How you go about now in the study, the thèse, c'est quoi? C'est qui bande scale je te servi? Qui bande question je peux servir? What is your finding and how you discuss it? This is your dissertation. So those 3 last chapters are very important. Good?
Thank you.
Most welcome. So, as you're going to see here, we say that what are theories? Theories, they are here to organize existing knowledge. They are here to make predictions. Okay? What happens is that the more we do studies, the more that we get the same findings, the theory increase. Okay? But if the results disagree with such predictions, then definitely the theory may be modified. Because if you're working with children, and all of you people who are working with children or even adults, you will see that all the theories that we have learned are changing nowadays. La société est en train de changer. The exposure, if you're going to look at the cognitive maturity level of like a 2-year-old child, c'est pas du tout pareil avec un enfant de 2 ans, 20 ans de cela. Children are extremely alert nowadays. They are very, curious. They can do so many things which was not possible 20 years back, the type of questions which are being asked. So obviously, whenever we are getting, findings which are coming, definitely, on va devoir modifier les théories aussi. Okay? So this is a model that is found in your manual. You can look into this into more details. So now we're going to proceed into our first model. C'est quoi un modèle dans la psychologie? C'est we want to understand a phenomenon. And when we want to understand a particular kind of phenomenon, what happens is that we present it in terms of a chart. And in this particular model, you have to be very cautious in terms of what are the direction of the arrows. You cannot swap the direction of the arrows. You will see here that there are, in some places, very dark, specific arrows, and in other places, you will see dotted arrows. Can you see this here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here, this model is called the Lewin's model. In this particular model, what happens is that there's a researcher who is Lewin, who wanted to understand what caused overt social behavior. What do you understand by overt social behavior? Can any one of you give me an example of overt social behavior?
Open up behavior that is open, easy to convey.
Okay, not open. It is something that you can observe. It is something which is in front of you. That's overt. The opposite of overt is covert. Something which is hidden. You can't see it. An example of overt social behavior would be, I'm slapping someone. An example of overt social behavior would be like somebody who is speeding on the motorway. Good? Is it clear? Is the example clear?
Does that mean that what we can see?
Exactly. Okay, you need to be able to see it. Good? So, the overt social behavior is what I can see. In this model, the researcher wants to understand what caused that overt social behavior from the standpoint of the individual. This is very important for you people to understand. Mon papi envie comprendre qui fait un diminue and colored from another perspective. That researcher wanted to understand moi-même me donne un diminue and colored, mais qui ne passe dans la tête. Qui ça fait qui ne provoque moi pour me slap someone? Is this clear till now? Madame Guita, c'est bon, c'est clair?
Oui, c'est bon.
Okay. So, first thing he say is that pour nous comprendre le comportement humain, pour que nous comprendre qui fait un dimanche agir d'une certaine façon, you have to look at two things. First, it's the individual characteristic. Individual characteristics, for instance, are examples like somebody is hot-tempered, or quelqu'un est très calme, or it can be like somebody, is a very disciplined person. Those are individual characteristics. Caractère qui est propre à la personne. Okay? Impulsive person. Okay, those are individual characteristics. Input from social situation is an example of qu'est-ce qui fait qu'il pousse un démon, qu'il provoque un démon pour agir d'une certaine façon. Okay, let's just say we take the example of a man who is speeding on the motorway, okay, which is in your manual. Overt social behavior is generally speed up on the motorway. Individual characteristics, let us say that dimenal y a un dimen li bien calme, li bien discipliné, li un dimen ki very patient. Those are individual characteristics of the individual. Anyone among you, give me an example. Qui ça fait qui dans l'environnement de la personne est capable d'arriver pour qu'il y ait un dimen qui jamais panne, comment dire, grille un feu rouge, qui jamais panne speed up, mais dans sa situation, là, il speed up. Give me an example of input from social situation.
It can be that someone is waiting for him for medicine.
Yes, very good. There's a medical emergency and the person had to speed up. Très bien. Any other example?
Death of someone, il peut bien aller plus vite possible, indiquant une décédée de ce proche.
Très bien, oui. Il y a un message, il y a un call, and somebody said that somebody has passed away. Très bien. So those are examples of input from social situation, medical emergency, or somebody has passed away, and the first reflex is, I have to reach there. Social cognition, like we already said, it's what went on in the mind of the person. What are the mental processes which happened? How did I interpret that? OK? Quand on dit quand dimen là, fait qu'on va dire moi dimen mo bien calme, mo bien discipliné, mo pas petit rôle vite, mo gain un call and which says that somebody just collapsed, and the first thing which comes to my mind is that okay, I need to reach there. Okay? And it's like, oh, it's an emergency. That's my perception of things. Then on the third box, you will see that we have evaluation of the situation. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire évaluation de la situation? C'est bon pour réfléchir. OK, l'in téléphone moi, l'in dit moi hadi mon line tombé. Let's say mo pour lui et la personne est dans le chemin grenier. It's a medical emergency, mais est-ce qu'il moi-même m'a bizarre aller? Est-ce qu'il m'a capable de téléphoner le dimanche, m'a dire step in? Est-ce qu'il m'a capable dire une autre personne m'a téléphoner un taxi? Est-ce qu'il m'a besoin téléphoner l'ambulance? Those are evaluation of the situation. That are what are the multiple possibilities, the different things that I can do. Is this clear?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Once I have evaluated the situation, that is, comme évaluer, on a une possibilité, mais on a vraiment beaucoup d'hypothèses on what happened, how it happened, why it happened like this, what can be done, what could be done, okay? And then we proceed with intention to behave, okay? Dimensional speed up on the motorway. Peut-être que l'évalué, il dit, okay, let me call someone. And he remembered, non, mais sa personne est déjà plus loin que moi, ou bien sur le tour en panne, dépendant en transport. Another thing is, okay, let me call an ambulance. And the person said that, Mrs. Calder qui m'a rentré, l'ambulance pour prendre plus le temps que moi. Okay, those are evaluation. And then the intention will happen when the person has decided what to do. Okay, let me speed up, let me reach. Okay, and this is the overt social behavior that you're going to have. Now, do you see the dotted line?
Yes, madam.
Where does the dotted line goes?
It goes back to input from social situation.
Exactly so. The person could be speeding up, and then it can happen that the person gets a call and the person say, okay, everything is now under control. Or somebody else call and say, okay, don't worry, just come directly to the hospital. Just come at ease. Or it can happen that he gets a call and they say that, okay, the person is better now. There's no problem. There's no emergency. It was just a person has not eaten. So why we have the dotted line is that, vous savez, la vie, il n'est pas comme dire, comme un film, quand on fait l'infini, tu infinis, non. Il y a une continuité. Okay? Different things happens afterwards. So when we have different things which happens, we take into consideration again input from social situation, And then the person is going to go back into all of those processes of social cognition, évaluation de la situation, parce que des fois, nous avons des gens qui gagnent cours, qui disent paraître que everything is now under control, but still the person feels that no, I have to be there. Mais il peut arriver qu'il y ait une autre personne qui dit, OK, everything is now under control, I can just slow down and then I'll go. So do you understand why we have this dotted line and how avant qu'il y ait un démon qui fait quelque chose, nous avons tous certains precursors like individual characteristic, input from social situation. Nous avons tous certaines affaires-là qui arrivent dans la vie de tous les jours.
Oui, nous regardons souvent.
It happens to us on everything. Let's just say we decide, mais OK, mais aujourd'hui, je peux cuire, je vais faire un carré poule dans ma salle. And I'm going to think first. OK, je vais cuire un carré poule là. But first thing I have to say, individual characteristic, moi, je compte mon ça, ou bien je peux cuire ça pour un dimanche, ou bien je suis invité à que ça, je peux cuire ça. Those are input. OK? Ou bien je pense, je n'ai envie de cuire ça, mais je peux pas que moi aujourd'hui, je n'ai d'autres affaires. I will evaluate the situation qui me fait moi rester, ou bien je cuire l'autre qui chose là. My intention will be like, okay, let me just go and take it. Oh no, let me just, cook whatever I have at home. And then, of course, you're going to see an overt social behavior. Those things happen to each and every one among us à chaque moment de la vie. Okay, you go to the supermarket, you want to buy something, you're buying something. Before, avant qu'ils aient acheté ça, there are all of those processes which happens. Do you agree with me? Okay. So will it be possible for you people until our next class to go and reflect on this particular model, how it happens, what are the different questions that a person asks before moving forward with any kind of decision? Sur le plan individuel, bien sûr, je ne vais pas vous demander, mais qu'ils ont fait trouver. Parce que ce modèle-là, worldwide recognized, and it also applies to each one amongst us. If you become more aware of those inner processes, beaucoup de problèmes pour résoudre par lui-même. Will it be possible for each one of you to go and do this individual activity?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Apply it à titre individuel sur vous-même, and you're going to see a very big change in whatever you do. Okay? So in that model, you saw the word social processes and cognitive processes. Those are present here. What are social processes? It's about the ways in which people around us, the groups to which we belong, our own personal relationships, quelles sont les choses qu'on a appris de notre culture, de nos parents, what are all those different pressures that we experience, or how do those affect us? Cognitive processes will be about, how do we feel about those things? In sociology, there are two different paradigms. First, it says that it is the society, okay, which molds us and make us become who we are. And then we have another perspective which come and say that non, c'est pas la société qui décide qui nous sommes. C'est pas la société qui décide qui nous besoin faire, qui nous pas besoin faire. C'est nous en tant qu'individus qui décident qu'ils ont fait un mot capable de faire, qu'ils ont fait un mot capable de pas faire. Is this clear? Can somebody just summarize those two paradigms for me? Oui, Monsieur Lindsay?
Non, j'avais une question juste avant. C'est-à-dire le slide pour pouvoir répondre à cette, comprendre ce que vous venez de dire là. J'avais une question, individual characteristic et input from social situation. Le slide précédent. Qu'est-ce qui est prioritaire? Qu'est-ce qui vient, qu'est-ce qui est c'est la caractéristique de la personne, l'individuel, ou la société, la situation de la société, qui est prioritaire, qui vient en premier. À ce moment, je pourrais répondre à la question que vous venez de poser là. Ouais, est-ce que c'est moi qui va décider où je vais aller, ou c'est la pression de la société qui va me faire aller où je vais aller?
Very good question. It will all depend on your social cognition and perception. It will all depend on this. Have you heard this statement which says that tu connais yen sans comprendre, il te bon explique li, qui te dit pas pour écouter même li. Okay? Why? Because sometimes, let us say, there are people who have, I'll give you an example that I have. I have people who come to me for consultation who have anger management issues. The person is very impulsive. The person may be very, aggressive. The person may also have hyperactivity issues, which are present. Those are individual characteristics of the individual. And sometimes those individual characteristics may be of a neuronal nature. Hyperactivity, the inattention, the aggressiveness of an individual, ça peut avoir un certain titre neuronal aussi. And those are individual characteristics. In therapy, what happens is that, because on arrive à comprendre que la personne ne peut pas prendre en considération input from the social situation, parce que c'est quelque chose de biological. The person is used to behaving like this. The person is used, has been brought up in a particular way. Moi, j'ai des petits-enfants de 6 ans, 7 ans qui me disent, quand je leur demande, mais qui fait une batte sans enfant-là? I had a small boy who said that, because this is what has been taught to the child. This is what the child has observed years and years. Ok, si moi un besoin battre. Si moi un besoin, comment dire, faire une action, je ne peux pas aller virer depuis la guerre, virer depuis certain peut-être un acte d'intimidation, moi aller. Okay, those are individual characteristics. In therapy, what happens is that we allow the person to see the input from social situation. We make the person evaluate l'environnement qui est autour de la personne, make you become more aware of your own processes in terms of social and cognitive processes, and how you can evaluate the situation again. How you become more aware of your intention. Doesn't mean that somebody has provoked you. Nécessairement, ça veut dire que tu as besoin de battre du monde là, tu as besoin de donner un coup de couteau. Okay? So your question is sometimes, the answer to your question is sometimes the individual characteristics are very dominant et la personne n'arrive pas à prendre en considération input from social situation, alors ce overt social behavior, even par rapport à ce personal predisposition, ce personal characteristic. So we call that internal disposition. Des fois, il y a certaines personnes que, let's just say, the self-confidence, self-esteem is very low. Tous les temps, je trouve, comment dire, les autres du monde qui n'ont plus raison, les autres du monde qui peut-être connaissent plus. Et là, tout ce genre d'affaires est basé là, input from social situation. This is where sometimes you will have people who come to you who say that, tu connais, mon gars des travail, mais qu'il a que te penser, moi, bien prendre. Tu connais un tel, il dit, moi, soutien avec lui, ou bien un tel, peut dire, moi, il a envie de retourner avec moi, mais qui te pense, moi, bien faire. And you tell the person, this is your life, this is your decision. And the person say, fait que moi, je te donne mon place, qui te tu peux faire? So we have another category of person also who rely 100%, 200% on input from social situation. So it will be on an individual basis. This is why when you're going to do this activity, vous allez pouvoir comprendre pour vous-même, mais mobile overt social behavior, il vient plus en termes de moi ou bien en termes de la société. Là, il y aura tout paradigme qui me fait dire dans la sociologie là. Maintenant, on vit mettre un lens. My individual characteristics say that, okay, tu connais aujourd'hui, soleil, sorti, maintenant, on vit mettre un tiro bretel, maintenant, on vit sorti. Input from social situation can be that, you be bandi moun pour dire comme, ouais, tu connais, Bon, pas qu'à mettre ça à l'aise là, poil là-bas. Tu connais, moi pas besoin faire, moi pas besoin mettre ça quand t'es coulé là, etc. Et il y a certaines personnes pour venir pour dire, non, mais non, oui, mettre ça, moi mettre là, ce qui m'a envie. Other people will go more into input from social situation, mais qui dit monde pour dire, qui dit monde pour penser, ben l'estime, on va faire une affaire qui pour gagner causer. Is this clear?
Yes, madame. Madame, j'avais une
very
question.
clear.
Madame,
Oui.
tu es capable de redonner, explique-moi un petit peu, le social cognition and perception, si tu peux élaborer un petit peu, bon, merci.
Social cognition and perception, c'est que premièrement, nous avons des social processes. Ça, social cognition là, comment les venir, c'est en termes de qui la société nous montre nous. Qui la société indienne nous besoin faire. Par exemple, chaque dimanche, dans sa propre perception, là, si je bats un dimanche, qui va arriver? Et dans dimanche, la société, dans le fond, elle grandit d'une façon que, mais tu connais, si tu bats un dimanche, ça veut dire que tu es un mauvais dimanche. Et dans les autres social processes qui viennent, qui disent non, mais tu as besoin de battre un dimanche pour qu'il te capable d'assurer toi dans la société. Tu ne peux pas laisser du monde crash toi. Those are things that you learn from the society. What is the society? The society consists of individuals around us. Nous avons, comment je disais tout à l'heure là, nous avons neighbors, nous avons famille, nous avons camarades, nous avons professeurs, nous l'environnement qui nous est là. Those are social processes, things that you have learned about what are acceptable and what is not acceptable. Est-ce que c'est clair, those social processes, Madame Devika?
Oui, madame. Oui, c'est bon.
Maintenant, cognitive processes, c'est quoi? C'est à titre individuel. Nous, en tant qu'individus, comment nous réfléchissons, tout ce qui nous apprend autour de nous, how do we make sense of that? How do we assign meaning to those things? I am feeling a particular way. La société nous demande tu ne dois pas pleurer. Mais I can also say that si je ne pas pleurer, ça peut faire moi plus tito. La société est capable de dire, non, tu connais, tu as besoin, disons, tu as besoin de faire un travail, tu as un travail dans le bureau. Mais moi, je me dis, non, je suis content, faire mon travail manuel. This is my cognitive processes, me, how the content of my own thoughts, my goals qui, moi, mon envie dans la vie, my feeling qui m'en a par rapport à mes affaires autour de moi, comment tout ça, mes affaires-là, viennent ensemble et comment moi, me réfléchis. This is where we come and we say that dis-moi, toi, tout ça là, tu as grandi de cette façon-là, mais toi qui t'as envie, toi qui te penses, those are cognitive processes. Good?
Oui, merci, madame. Mais une autre affaire, mais est-ce que si nous pensons, nous prenons comme ça, nous disons non, mais ce que Dieu peut dire, par contre, nous fait ce qu'il nous envie. Est-ce qu'il y a une bonne façon de penser?
Mais ça dépend de qui ça fait. Sometimes it's good to listen to yourself. Sometimes it's good to do whatever you feel is best for you. But sometimes there are things which, some people are more knowledgeable. Some people have more experience about life. La société a déjà certain rules whereby it's good to take into consideration. Mais ça dépend de quoi?
Ok, madame. Merci.
Okay, that's why I ask you people, prends les autres affaires qui se font dans la vie de tous les jours. We are going to look at this in what we call control and automatic thinking. Okay? Qui ça fait toutes les affaires qui nous fait comment qui nous peut cuire. This is also falls under this. It also falls in terms of what are the things I will accept or not accept. Okay? Par exemple, nous prenons cette topic très sensible comme l'infidélité. Est-ce qu'ils m'ont accepté, mon madame trompe-moi, mon monsieur trompe-moi? Est-ce qu'ils m'ont ressort du monde là? Est-ce qu'ils m'ont quitté du monde là? What do I do about that? Okay? What are the social processes? What are the cognitive processes which comes into play? Okay? C'est comme dans le comportement humain, il y a des choses qui sont very straightforward et il y a aussi d'autres choses qui sont très subjectives. Okay, so when we speak about social processes and cognitive processes, what we say is that no man is an island in itself. On ne peut pas ignorer la partie sociale de notre vie de tous les jours. Je suis capable de faire tout ce qui m'envie, je suis capable de dire tout ce qui m'envie, yes, but still the social processes are at play. That is what we have been taught. What are the expectations of our surrounding on us, even when they are physically absent? What do you understand by this?
Can you please repeat, ma'am?
Even when other people are not present, okay, people in our surroundings are not present, it's still, you may be abroad, you may not be at home, you may be somewhere else, but still those expectations are on you.
Enfin, comment dire ça? C'est la mémoire, c'est ce qu'on a acquéri comme mémoire qui fait cette présence-là réelle, cette absence-là, allons dire, réelle. Je m'exprime mal. C'est ce que j'ai, what I received from experience, qui va faire la personne présente dans ma vie. Est-ce que c'est ça que je dois comprendre?
Give you an example.
Oui, madame, moi je pense, oui, des fois, ce qui nous acquis, ce qui nous prend un exemple, nos parents, ils disent nous comme ça, il ne faudrait pas nous guetter un vieux du monde, il ne faudrait pas nous causer faux avec lui. Mais peu importe que nous étions, premières affaires qui viennent quand nous trouvons un vieux du monde, nous connaissons qui, nos parents qui disent nous, il ne faudrait pas causer faux, un exemple. Hein. Alors, il est déjà là, inculqué dans nos minds, qui non, quand nous trouvons un vieux du monde, nous pas besoin de cause faux, nous pas besoin de misbehave avec eux. C'est quelque chose qui est déjà fini inculqué de l'enfance en nous. Peut-être c'est ça? Un exemple.
Très bien. Oui. Even though, you know, somebody has told you, your parents have told you that you should not misbehave with an elder person. Anywhere you go, you are like, yes, I should not misbehave. This accompanies you in your everyday life. Très bien. Any other example?
La loi est absente. On ne voit pas la loi. Mais nous mos à gauche, nous mos à gauche le chemin, nous faisons arrêter feu rouge. C'est là, c'est pas devant moi, mais du présent.
Oui, très bien. Très bien. Sometimes it can be very simple things about, you know, the things that you eat. Each one of us, we have a particular culture about what are the things that you're supposed to eat and what are the things you're not supposed to eat. Okay? And it can happen that, let us say, you go abroad and there's nobody here who can know what you're eating, and you wanted to eat things which were forbidden in your culture. And despite the fact that you are abroad and nobody will know, like really nobody, but still you hear their voice which say that, you know, this is not something you're supposed to eat. You are a vegetarian. We are all vegetarian here. We are not supposed to eat this particular thing. And the voice is so present that you don't do it. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, and like this, so many things apply in our everyday life. Okay, things that we want to do, we wanted to do, we wanted, you know, like I have people who say that when they go abroad, this is where they can really be themselves. Okay, like some people who say, I need to go to a hotel, I need to go like to take a break, and there I can just really be me. Okay, but still when they go there, they go with a crowd in their mind. So this is what social processes does, is that even when others are physically absent, still they accompany us. Okay, the group membership becomes part of who we are. Okay, it influences us, nevertheless, about even if they are absent. Now, if we consider the group in the individual, social psychology will examine how is it that people are affected by the knowledge of what is expected of them. Okay, and this is what happens in therapy. We make people become conscious of what are those internal processes. You feel very tired, you feel extremely drained, and the person is going to tell you, but nobody is nagging me, nobody is expecting things from me, but still I feel so tired. Why it's going to happen like this? It's going to happen because still the individual is here. So we teach the person to see how you get affected by things. What are the social processes which are at play despite the fact that the person is not here? Okay? So in the social processes, what we find is that what affects us is how do we interpret the actions of others. Okay? By individual processes, what we do is that we try to gain insight of how people are affected by others who are physically present. Okay? There are some people who is like, lastly, I was doing a session and there was someone who was like carrément in développé une allergie avec un leutimone parce que effectivement la personne est vraiment intrude ce personal space and everything, and the person cannot hear the name of that other individual at all. And I told the person, you cannot change that other individual, okay, but you can change your reaction to it. And I said, that person called you at 3 p.m., you did not pick up. That person called you again at 4 p.m., you didn't pick up. But from between 3 to 4, that person stayed in your mind. You allowed that person to damage your mental peace. You allowed that person to damage, that whole 1 hour that you were having. And that person is not accountable for that because it's like comme si tu signes un abonnement pour rester dans Radio Moon là, c'est ce qu'il peut faire. You can't change the person parce que pas tout le monde qui nous a attiré dans la vie. I don't know if you'll agree with me on that. There are some people you can easily cut ties with. There are some other people who may be toxic, who may be damaging, mais vous n'arrivez pas à to cut ties, vous n'arrivez pas à faire sortir ces gens de votre vie. So what do? You learn how to react, how you're acting. You don't react to things. Simply, you learn, how do I manage those things inside me? How do I manage what makes sense to me? Good?
Good, madam.
So for you people, we added this slide. What makes difference between social science and social psychology? It's that dans la psychologie, on veut comprendre l'individu. Okay? We want to understand how the cognitive and social processes we have just described affect individuals. So the focus will be on us as individuals, on you, on me. Okay, not only in terms of the group dynamic. Even if we're going to study group dynamics, you're going to see that dans la psychologie, ultimately, à la dernière minute, on va retourner sur l'individu. An example would be that in sociology, let us say you say, why do marriage end in divorce? Dans la sociologie, vous allez venir avec des statistiques en termes de, peut-être il y a eu le COVID, il y a beaucoup de situations, il y a des pertes d'emploi, il y a eu beaucoup de frustration, etc. Alors, définitivement, il y a eu une augmentation en termes de divorce. Dans la psychologie, vous allez voir en termes de what made that person take that step to go for a divorce in terms of stress level, tolerance level, frustration level, expectation levels. It's about the individual. La sociologie va partir en termes de la société, social dynamics which happens. Okay? Good? So it's more on a macro level. La psychologie, it's on a micro level. C'est bon? On peut continuer sur Unit 2?
Oui, madame.
Oui, madame.
You want us to take like a 5-minute break and then we come back?
Oui, madame.
Okay. D'accord. So let's go 5
Merci,
minutes.
madame.
D'accord.